But I'm also the kind of person that if I have to use the microwave for any reason, I run out of the room, so I'm not in there when the microwave is on.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Responding to you in the comments section.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Danae, what does that mean? Does that mean you're not going to say another word until we get to the comment section of this podcast? Or does this mean you are literally right now responding to comments on YouTube?
That's what I'm doing
Okay.
right now.
I figured it meant the second one.
I just realized that I hadn't gone to see comments from last week's Behind the Sins episode on our YouTube channel. And so Rookie was talking about how in the middle of the rant about YouTube pushing body types, you know, and I was like going on and on about that for a hot minute last episode. Apparently an ad broke in at that point to talk about what type of food that they would eat, asking about body types.
Wow.
Like YouTube knew the conversation and the ad gods were looking in upon that moment. And then Charted Studios responded that the same thing happened to them too during that particular part. Isn't that insane?
Targeted advertising. Kind of missing the point there of our conversation, but...
Right. I feel like maybe it's just picking up on
hungry.
keywords. So now I want to say like waffles, bananas, and just see if maybe that there's something that happens.
Oh my God, that sounds good.
If you just got an ad for banana-flavored waffles, please let us know in the
that
comments
sounds
below.
amazing, by the way. I would eat those up.
Hey, do you want to talk about kind of the plan for the podcast on YouTube? We haven't really talked about a lot of that, but I know you're excited to kind of do some interaction, a little more interaction on the CSPN YouTube channel. CSPN, by the way, is the CinemaSins Podcast Network that Behind the Sins is a part of. And there is a YouTube channel that you can, quote unquote, watch the podcast. I will warn you, you're listening to them on YouTube.
There's no like visual of us
right
recording the show. Although I hear you, I see your comments, I appreciate them, and I do hope that we will do something very public for the BTS recording at some point in time that you all can watch and enjoy. But for right now, we have a YouTube channel where we air all of the episodes from everything on the CSPN network. So that's Sincast, the interviews that we do with directors and actors in the industry. There's also like mini pods where we review different things. I'm missing some too. But anyways, then of course, Behind the Sins is there. And we're going to experiment very soon with something called Premiere, which is essentially where we will be live with you guys in the chat and everyone can pile in on the channel and watch/listen to the next BTS episode there on YouTube. And when I say the next one, I'm not talking about like next week. I will tell you when it happens. We will tell you when the first one's going to go live. But we hope to start to do this regularly where we like maybe we'll release it at noon on a Thursday and everyone can pile in on YouTube and watch it together and be in the chat along with myself and possibly, you know, maybe Jonathan or Aaron can pop in from time to time. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, just kind of keep you up to date with some of the different ways you can interact with what we're doing. We've also got Sin Week coming up. We've announced publicly a lot of what's going on with that. That's happening again in March. I think the 20th through the 26th, somewhere around there. And we're going to have live stream for all our Sin Club members each Monday through Thursday of that week. We'll be doing different stuff, including live podcast recordings where you will see us on video. So thanks to all our...
You'll see part of me.
You'll see the upper half of Jonathan's face. You can prepare yourself for that.
And my shoulders.
We had a staff meeting yesterday, and Aaron suggested to
This is
going
to happen. I'm going to make this happen. So, yes.
He suggested that Jonathan... So he has a pop filter that covers his microphone that subsequently also covers most of his head. And Aaron wants him to add like an extension of the pop filter that looks like a fence. So he looks more like Wilson from... What is
Right.
that
I don't
show?
know how to do
Home
that.
Improvement.
But
No,
if
it'll
you
just-
know how to do that, send it to
Just
me.
make it an art project with your daughter. And just cut out a paper and paint it like a fence, and then it'll go on the other side of your microphone, right? So your voice will go through the pop filter to the microphone, and then on the other side of the microphone there'll be a fence that just covers up the lower half of your screen. I just think that's what we should do. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
What if it's made out of like popsicle sticks and
Sure, whatever. Yeah.
pipe cleaners that holding it all together? It'll be
Yep.
great.
Yeah, just have a little art project,
So fingers crossed that'll be something that you guys can see during Sin Week. And then, like we said, we're hoping to do something. I don't know. I would hope to do something more consistently where we can go live. Now, maybe not like during our outtake section, because we really talk about a lot of stuff that doesn't even make the show. But maybe once the show officially starts, we could do something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I think that is definitely a possible future. If you are a Sin Club member, Sin Week's going to be awesome. We're going to do 3 bonus videos for you again. We just dropped another Sinmentary where we do live video commentary over a Sins video for the Sin Club members just yesterday. So lots of fun stuff going on there. Again, if you're curious about all the perks and everything that goes on in the Sin Club, that all happens at Patreon. Patreon.com/CinemaSins is where you would go for all of that. And thank you to the amazing Sin Club members who are already there and having fun with us. So yeah, if you're interested, you can check it out there. You guys okay? You guys don't need to talk about anything before we head into the show, or do you have anything on your hearts or minds that you need to express?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think I'm okay. I did not dip a donut into coffee this week, so I should be good to go.
Great.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
No, I want banana waffles now, but other than that,
Well, I'm sorry. Instead, you've got hours and hours of podcast recording that you're going to be doing. So let's just get into it. We'll start with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the processes of sending them, and how we felt about the stuff we are sending in general. Kicking it off with commercial sins with the Super Bowl coming up. We decided to do a Super Bowl commercial from fairly recently. This was the Groundhog Day spot for the Jeep that Jeremy wrote on. So this is a Scott script. And I've never been a Jeep person. Danae, you're a Jeep person, right?
Yeah,
You've got a Jeep.
I do.
So yeah.
I've test driven a few, but I've never purchased one.
What is I feel like the Jeep world is like this kind of like club, and I'm just once you've got a Jeep, you're a member of this crazy club.
It feels
I know
that
the
way.
reason we test drove them was because at the time, as far as SUVs went, they were a little more reasonably priced. But I don't remember why we didn't get one. But
Yeah.
But yeah, there definitely are people that are really into Jeep.
There are people that are really into Jeep. I wouldn't say that I'm a Jeep fanatic. I did not get a Jeep to go off-roading. I got a Jeep so that in the chance that someday I needed to, I could. Like, I wasn't an off-roading person, but I realized and recognized that I am the kind of person that will look at patches of grass and think, yeah, I kind of want to go over there too.
I kind of want to drive in that.
Kind of want to go in that.
I thought maybe it was like you're the kind of person that's like the apocalypse is coming and I need a vehicle that's going to get me through all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I have a 2004, 2005 Rubicon, which
Nice.
basically is a Wrangler. So it's just like the little square. It's not the extended cab. It's nothing fancy. And then there's this button that you can press and it locks both of the axles, front and back, so that every tire rotates at the same exact time, which allows you to do more intensely focused off-roading if needed.
Is that not just 4-wheel drive?
4-wheel drive is a little bit different from what I understand. But the Rubicon was created for, now this is me going from memory, so for those of you who are listening who are hardcore Jeep fans, apologies if I get it wrong. You can tweet at me and tell me how I'm wrong.
They're going to kick you out.
You can write to me and I'll correct myself next week. But I believe the Rubicon was actually created for Lara Croft movies. So of course that meant that I had to have that particular kind. But yeah, so I have a Rubicon. It's apple green and my husband drives it. He loves it because it's real tall. It's a 5-speed, and it's awesome. We've had it for a long time now, and it still drives really, really well. And that's the thing that when I was looking at them is I talked to a lot of people who had Jeeps, and they said that they're just really good vehicles that hold their value, and they just keep going.
Yeah.
So, and that's the case. Our Jeep is still going strong, and it's so fun to just take the hard top off, put the soft top on in the summertime and drive around without, a roof. That's just fun.
To me, that's the better angle on the Groundhog Day thing to me than what they went with, is the idea that Jeeps are the same they'll be around forever.
Yeah.
But instead they went with the idea that no day is the same, which is kind of the opposite of Groundhog Day. So I just don't understand why they didn't go with the Jeep will be here every day dependability kind of thing if they're going to go with Groundhog Day. But I don't know. I'm not their marketing person. Well, that would have meant
that the commercial would have been showing an old Jeep that you can't buy new anymore.
Fair enough.
Because it would just be the old Jeep that you've had for a long time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, because I was told a million times, it felt like when Aaron and I did Tomb Raider Sins videos, it's Lara Croft.
Yeah, I almost mentioned it. I was like, how did you pronounce that name today? Because boy, the comments are gonna let you know. Yeah,
I think I very clearly said Laura Croft, not Laura.
Yeah,
we got raked over coals.
Oh yes,
for that.
Yes,
oh,
very
shit.
much. Yes.
Okay, well, everyone, just calm down. Jeremy said Jeep Groundhog Day. I probably wrote this a year ago when it aired at last year's Super Bowl. It was inspired in no, it's insipid. That's a very different word.
Yes, insipid is very much different than inspired. Yes.
Very, very different word.
I'm very nonplussed by that description. Did I use that right?
It depends on how you meant it.
I don't know. I don't know what it means. So
it was insipid then, and it's insipid now. It's as cash grabby as an actor ever got. You know what I need to do? I need to make this bigger so I can actually read it. Mm-hmm. Guys, I'm a 90-year-old woman over here. It's as cash grabby as any actor ever got, including Jeff Bridges doing a shit version of The Dude the year before, or was it 2 years? It's unfunny, uninspired, and I cannot fathom who would buy a Jeep because of this fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us how you really feel, Jeremy.
I mean, as a Jeep lover, I don't know what was going on in the commercial. I was just salivating over the beautiful Jeep. So
I've wondered that though. It's kind of like, hiring high priced talent to voice animated films.
Right.
Do celebrities really sell things? I mean, and is there a way to prove that they do or don't? Because I would think, like you said, Danae, it would be how the Jeep is displayed, right? You don't care about Bill Murray. I mean, I don't in that particular commercial. I've always been curious about that. I guess there must be research that proves that they do, but
I think it's about eyeballs, right? I think the idea of celebrity is about...
No, it's about Jeeps, Aaron.
Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I thought this was an eyeball commercial. I got really lost there for a second. No, I think it's about getting people to watch. And that's why they do it in animated films. That's why, they can put the name on the poster and then people are like, oh, I want to see that because I love such and such. And so the attention that comes with having Bill Murray in this commercial doing Groundhog Day, people are like, oh, I love Groundhog Day. I love Bill Murray. I have to see this commercial.
You'll get more people talking about it.
Yeah. And then once you get more people watching it, you have to hope you did what it takes for them to,
makes sense.
Like the brand or like the movie kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess it's the same equivalent of like a more popular TV show. Well, I mean, this isn't really as much of a thing now, I guess, because TV, the networks aren't as big, but a very popular, Seinfeld at its height would, get more ad revenue than, a lesser sitcom because more eyeballs are on Seinfeld. They're more likely to watch the commercial. It has nothing to do with Seinfeld's not selling it, I guess. So I guess it's kind of a take on that idea. Yeah, that makes sense.
I thought this was really funny. Jonathan, why don't you go first? What were some of the sins you liked from this one?
Calling the commercial a double blowjob to capitalism, which is I'm assuming Jeremy wrote it, right? So that felt very much like a Jeremy thing. Nothing spells Jeep like spokesman on bicycles.
I had that down too. Yeah,
I had that one.
This was I would have, if I had never known Jeremy wrote this sin would have been like, yep, this was Jeremy. Why are there fucking fireworks on Groundhog Day? If you look up like who tweets the most about fireworks, I have a feeling it's Jeremy.
It might be. It might
or
just be.
complaining about fireworks.
But he's not wrong.
No.
I agree with him 100%. It's just,
why are there fireworks on Groundhog Day?
why? Yeah, well, that's like, we always joke, like if you're in like the suburbs or whatever, it's like any excuse to light a firework apparently is A-okay.
Yeah.
Because it's insane.
I also liked no one has played with this concept in the last 30 years. Yeah, great originality, guys. I liked a game called Whack-A-Mole, not Whack-A-Groundhog. And then just going off on the amount of, holes in the machine, that kind of stuff was great. And then no day is the same in any vehicle. It's called life. It's just such a great, this may be my favorite thing about Commercial Sins, is just the opportunity to call out like the BS that is marketing slogans. Like that they mean nothing. This slogan means nothing. Like he's absolutely right. If the slogan is, no day is the same in this vehicle, like what does that even mean? Of course no day is the same. Like it's all about trying to gain some sort of emotional attachment. And
well, and it's and the way they emphasize a word, and it's crazy.
Danae, what about you?
You guys had them all.
Nice. All right. Well, let's move into TV sins then. We'll start with another Rick and Morty, Rickle in Time. This was a Dicer Watkins script. Jonathan and I writing on this one. We've said all there pretty much is to say about Rick and Morty. We're obviously ticking a bunch of these off.
It's a good show.
Yeah, definitely. But this one specifically is the one where they split timelines into eventually about 32 different sections. I love this kind of stuff. Really tickles my brain. I enjoy this kind of stuff. So these are the kind of episodes I love in Rick and Morty. They're also the kind of episodes that are really fun to sin, I think.
I agree. Well, and I will argue, and we actually take a sin off for this, that the Jerry Beth storyline is kind of funnier than the main one.
It's kind of sweet too. You actually get to see maybe more of the wholesome side of their relationship. In a way.
That's true. No, that's true, because he ends up helping her out at the end and stuff. Like he's the one that comes through.
Yeah.
Which you don't see that often. Like, Jerry, it's usually the other way around.
No, they really lean hard into this dad's an idiot on this one.
Yeah.
On the show in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can go right into the sins if you like, Danae, since you didn't write on this one. What were some of the ones you pulled out?
At the very beginning, just questioning how everything's frozen in time. Why would you need to vacuum, or how would you breathe? That was a fun way to kick it off, because it does call into question some of the silliness of the plot in a way.
Right.
But done well. Like, I wouldn't have thought about that. I don't.
Why
think
would you need
so.
to wash their clothes? What dirt is frozen in time too. Like it's kind of one of those things. And especially just after Tenet had asked a lot of these questions about time and how time works, and the fact that, like in Tenet, when they go backwards in time, they have to breathe backwards oxygen because it's different than forwards oxygen. Like, there's when you mess with time, things happen. So yeah.
When I started even thinking about, like, you could really get into this, like if everything's frozen, would the washing machine work?
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Why would anything become out of time that way? Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that just how it was questioned. I thought was really fun. Naming your animal hospital really cracked me up. And then the other one that really made me giggle was when she reaches in and pulls all the guts out, and it just says "Deer survives this." So that was just it was a funny spin on it in a way, because usually I don't know. It's just I really thought that was clever, because there's genuinely no way that
I
deer
love
should
that bit
have
too.
survived.
I love that scene, because I don't remember what Beth says. She's like, by the whatever, I will save your life, and she's pulling all that shit out, and the other doctor's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Really is a good episode. What about you, Jonathan?
I liked whatever this is, just like when the arrow was pointing in the fridge. We got Aaron to do Vanity. It's definitely my favorite sin, which was fun.
I had that down to talk about because it is one of my favorite things as a narrator when people are like, okay, do this famous line, imitate it, that kind of thing, or like sing this song. Like, the goofy stuff is some of my favorite stuff. And yeah, I went back and watched that scene and kind of listened to the delivery and kind of did my version.
By the way, you have to watch Devil's Advocate. I had no idea you hadn't seen that movie.
Yeah, I do. I do need to watch it. I've heard it's like ridiculous fun. So
it's good. But and it's Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves.
Totally.
I mean,
yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, you did a great job. The narrator's concerned that people won't be able to learn how to put a license plate on their car. And then I also always love this stuff where it's like, and trust me, that stuff transfers, or so I hear. I always like the or so I hear sends.
Yeah.
And the cord maintenance.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Which we actually got a tweet about that, right? About somebody tweeted a picture or something of.
Yeah, there were some tweets. There were definitely in the comments, people were both pro and anti going after him for that. This is definitely definitely one of my pet peeves, and I think I have it in keeping tabs to talk about a little bit, but
okay.
But just the idea of calling him a cord jumbling chaos monster, people really...
You're just like getting so upset too. I like how the narrator gradually gets more upset. It's like, he has a bottom cord on the top, on the highest level. Or
no, let's just talk about it now. You know what? Let's just talk about it now, because that honestly, to me, it came from a very real place of dealing with children who just have no concern about where they plug things in. And it's just like, you are going to more effort to plug this in a an inconvenient place than to just plug it in the near, like the highest cord comes from below. Who takes a cord from below with strips like that and goes, I'm going to plug this all the way up here? What kind of human being are you? Like, that is just, I felt this one. I really felt this one on a deep parental level.
I mean, with our job, we have cords going everywhere.
Right.
Especially like you and today, because you guys have more of a studio setup than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you kind of almost have to learn how to do that correctly.
Right.
Yeah, there's been many times that Aaron and I have undone and redone our cords so that it's not a brain. It hurts my brain and it hurts his brain too. And I'm glad we're both the same way, because like in our house, for example, I just cannot look in my husband's office. I can't look at his cord situation. It is literally like here's a cord, there's a plug it in. It doesn't matter if it goes and weaves through 5 or 6 others.
Killing me.
Oh no.
And there's sometimes too where it'll just, I can't keep going.
It's
I don't want to hurt anybody.
It's like, is that a Christmas Story? Yeah, it is, because he's plugging the lamp in, and they just got like that one box, and they've got like 80 plugs in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's so
He has a thing too where some of the plugs go into like this rectangular port thing so that he can have more ports. Yeah. And that's just dangling in free space. And then there's more underneath it. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm like, no, you have to put that on something so it doesn't hang there and pull on your cords. Yeah. So there's all of these different triggers. Whereas for me, I'll try to like wind them up and then wrap little zip ties around them to keep them nice and tight, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do more than I do, but that's really cool. I wish I had that instinct.
It's definitely a benefit for some circumstances, and a pain in the ass for others. But overall, if they're all tucked away where it's not insane when you pull it out, it's not like a big nest. I mean, a lot of it can't be helped, but I for sure am the kind of person who will look at pictures of people who go into those rooms at offices where they have all of the network cables coming in for like major corporations, and then they redo them to where they're all really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I'll just stare at it in awe for like 3 minutes. Like, wow, look at what they did with these cords.
Yeah.
Because I'm just that person, I guess.
There is, and I know not every cord is an electrical cord, but we're specifically talking about plugging in, electricity. And that is one of the emerging technologies that I'm so excited to eventually have a breakthrough in. And they've been close on a couple occasions, is wireless electricity, the idea of transmitting electricity through the air. wireless chargers right now are the things that you plug in, but then you put your items on them. That's not what I'm talking about.
Wait, would our hair just be like standing up?
know.
That's immediately what I thought of.
But I'm also the kind of person that when I put them, if I have to use the microwave for any reason, I run out of the room so I'm not in there when the microwave is on.
Like, no one's ever had a microwave death, but you don't want to be the first.
I don't know why.
Actually,
So
I
Do you
shouldn't
do the
say
same
that
thing
'cause
for
it probably
radio?
has happened.
Like, when you turn your car radio on, do you freak out that the sounds are
God.
coming through the air?
That is amazing.
So for you to describe this world where I just imagine myself constantly walking through electricity
I
charges,
don't like
I'm like,
that either.
ooh, I don't know if I like
I'm
that.
not a fan
It
of
would just
that.
be like it would just be like your Wi-Fi. Once you're in range of your home, your phone would start charging.
Now
like
you've got me terrified of Wi-Fi. I just thought it was magic.
anyhow, I'm excited for that day when we don't have to plug everything in.
Wi-Fi does like drive my mind crazy when I start trying to think about.
Sure,
I know.
of course. Anything.
And I know there's a basic. There's a fundamental way it works, but I'm not that guy that could create that. So
of course, yeah, all that stuff is.
I'm glad it works.
Wild. Did you have any others?
We had to like go over the phone line, or we had to have a cable attached, and oh my god,
yeah, the removal
there
of
are
cables.
kids that are never going to know what that. My daughter's never going to know what that is. Like, she's like, there was not Wi-Fi.
Right. Yeah, wireless information. Did you have any others, Jonathan?
No, I did want to. I mean, I don't want to take everything away, but I did like at the end where you decided to do the where you were separating yourself. I guess the narrator was getting separated.
Oh yes, because the narrator was indecisive about whether or not to give us in. Yeah. It's a fun. I like doing that. I fun little winks at the show. To finish off the episodes, I think are a lot of fun. We do that on occasion. I also liked the I see Rick as an anti-masker sin. I thought that was really funny. I haven't seen a timeline reverse butterfly effect this hard since the Redgren Grumholt episode of the X-Files is one of my favorites.
That was great, but we also didn't play the
the
audio, so like you just get that or you don't, which is beautiful.
And I may continue to use it. I love the idea that there's this inside reference. Like if I'm in a place where I'm trying to think of a metaphor or a reference for something and it's just not coming to me, I may just go with Redgren Grumholt because it's such a beautiful get out of jail free card. It's a good thing.
I mean, it's terrible, but those are my favorite Rick moments, or where he's just giving the kids shit, especially when it's both of them. Like I like when Summer's included, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, you guys find that funny? Yeah, I made that up. Start thinking for yourselves," or something like that.
That's great. Very fun, very fun. All right, let's move on to another Insta-Sin. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Insta-Sinning WandaVision, and excited to start getting those before you. We'll start with the first episode filmed before a live studio audience. This was a Dicer Watkins script. Jonathan and I writing on this one. Let's talk about WandaVision. First of all, this is, like most Insta-Sins, going to be a very strange world for us, where we are talking about stuff we sinned a couple weeks ago, and now there are 3 more episodes, since this one.
And I actually watched the episode 4 before we recorded this morning.
As did I.
Oh, I did not.
Oh, Danae.
Oh,
Danae.
no. Hey, guys, I'll be right back. Give me about 35 minutes.
No. We're not going to talk about it here.
Hey, no. I'm going to watch.
We're not going to talk. I will say, I just, every week I love this show.
I do too. I really do.
I will say this. I think that this show could, I don't know how they're going to end it, obviously. Like, I don't know how they're going to end the season. And I think some of that, how good this show ends up being is going to be very reliant on that, possibly.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I still think, regardless, I can still look back at these and be like, oh, that was fun. But if they shit the bed, at the end, maybe I won't like it as much.
I'm sorry. Is that a possibility for real, or is that a saying that I'm not?
Is that a metaphor?
No, it's a colloquialism. It is a
colloquialism. There you go.
Yeah.
Cloaca here on BTS.
I helping my daughter with ELA, and they're doing metaphors and similes, and I'm so bad. That's one writing thing I've never been great at defining. Yeah. So
same.
Anyway, but so far 4 episodes in, I've liked every episode better, I think.
Yeah.
Or I'm definitely I'm keep going like, what is going to happen next, and especially the one that I watched today. Wow.
Holy cow! Like
the tension that's being built is really interesting because we're doing it week to week. It's a tension that builds and then it goes away because you're not watching it, and then it comes back and you're kind of in this like you're in the sitcom world where everything's happy, and then you remember, oh, we've got some tension building here, like, and it builds and it comes back. It's like a wave.
And can we talk about the sitcom world, because I think that's one of the most impressive things about this show is I think it would be really easy to just go super broad with it and just do like a straight up parody.
Right.
But this feels like a sitcom. And Elizabeth Olsen is absolutely killing it.
She's amazing.
She's incredible. You're absolutely right. It is that thing that is so tricky, the balance of paying homage to something and parodying it, but also being a great example of that thing. That is very hard to do. I think of like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz are good movie examples of that. The Edgar
Galaxy
Wright
Quest,
stuff.
Scream is a
Scream's a great example of it too. But it's very difficult to do. But we'll try to stay focused on this first episode because that's what we're talking about, and we'll talk about the others as we kind of get to talking about them on the show. But that first episode is such a perfect Dick Van Dyke episode. Like it could be an actual Dick Van Dyke episode with
or
different characters.
or like a show copy in Dick Van Dyke. Like Dick Van Dyke's popular, so this is like some one of the other networks released a show.
Like I'm obviously Dick Van Dyke. I don't know if I've said it on the show, but is my favorite TV show of all time. Like
I've never seen an episode of Dick Van Dyke ever.
On my actual list, it is
now because you watched season 1, episode 1 of WandaVision.
But that is the Dick Van Dyke set. That literally is their living room and kitchen. Like that, it's laid out the same way. The stairs are in the same place. The door opens to the same, kind of living room idea. He famously trips over the ottoman in the opening credits, but instead, Vision walks through the ottoman. Like it is the level of detail that they are enacting here is brilliant. And then the fact that they pull off the tone, the way it looks, the way it sounds, like I was blown away.
Yeah, the scene where you decided to take a scent off, where she's talking to Catherine Hahn and she's trying to explain what the anniversary or what the date means, and she's doing that. Not exactly. I mean, it was just like, oh my God, like that's Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's so good.
And Catherine Hahn's a little more on the comedic side for sure, but she's doing a really good job as well.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
It's also interesting because as much as it is a sitcom, it still is a look back onto what was more commonly acceptable in different eras of our entertainment, but also how entertainment influences reality. And so you're seeing, I'm loving looking at the costuming, the hairstyles, the expectations of how people are interacting together, the expectations of, supper and who's doing what. And I don't know, it's fun because this is the only way that I would watch Dick Van Dyke. This is the only way that I would watch, any of the other parodies that we're seeing. I don't go back and watch those older kind of sitcoms.
Right.
And so I don't mind it. And I also, in a weird way, I trust Marvel. I am a Marvel fan. And I have been since Iron Man came out. Like, I think if there's any movies that have been most influential for me as a movie watcher that I will go see, it is the Marvel movies. I rarely have missed a Marvel movie because I find them to be really well made and entertaining and interesting and intriguing. And I like how they're all kind of intricately tied together. This experiment with WandaVision is us being able to live with these two characters a little bit more, who would not be getting a ton of screen time if it was a major motion picture, right? Like it wouldn't. And we get to kind of play with their story. We get to learn more about their interaction, their relationship, and we get to kind of ask questions. And if you don't know their story, it makes it really interesting. And if you do know their story, it's even more meaningful. And I do know their story. And so it's very interesting to be like, ooh, this is where we're going, this is what we're watching. But to see how they're giving the information to us and giving those clues about why Wanda is doing what Wanda is doing and Vision is there and what's happening. There's still a lot of things I don't know. I don't understand the parameters of the story like I think many other hardcore fans might. Like we're seeing this through the lens of sitcom. We're seeing the story of Wanda and Vision through the lens of sitcom and the mystery developing in this way. I just kind of know more of like the brushstrokes or like the bullet points of their story. So I don't know. I'm super in for this. I'm having the best freaking time, and
That's good to hear.
I'm on episode 3, so I haven't caught up to episode 4 just yet. But this first one, I didn't know if I was going to be into it or not. This one didn't capture me quite as much as all of the sudden episode 2. I'm like hook, line, and sinker.
Well, there's a reason they released the first two episodes together.
100%.
Because I think they knew if they spread out those first 3 episodes over 3 weeks, that they may lose some people. And so I think they wanted to get to episode 4 as quickly as possible. Not going to spoil anything for you, but episode 4 is definitely a shift in the season. And so so I think they wanted to get there as quickly as possible while still being able to play creatively in this space. And I think that was a really smart move. And but I dug it. I mean, of course I dug it because I love Dick Van Dyke so much. Like it was just it was just pure amazingness for me.
I'm a Dick Van Dyke fan too, so I mean, I totally get that. But like, just like, I can't tell you how much like I'm geeking out over this show, like this and Mandalorian for that, because it's like when Disney Plus, I know they've had other shows, but like smaller shows, but the big thing when they announced what they were doing was the Marvel and the Star Wars shows, right?
Yeah,
and they're 2 for 2 at least so far, right?
Right.
And also just like Danae was saying, being such a Marvel person, and like, I mean, I've been reading the comics since I was a kid, and just seeing all this, like the idea of me being like 10 years old and thinking, oh yeah, in like 34 years, there's going to be like a show about Wanda and Vision.
Yeah.
When they couldn't even get a freaking Spider-Man movie off the ground, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it's just absolutely insane to me that even the stuff that doesn't work, I'm still like, oh, but there's a Venom movie? Like, what? You know, it's just like, it's hard not to be a kid again. And that's what these Disney Plus shows are kind of bringing back, which is so much fun.
I keep thinking that Marvel really almost accidentally themselves into a really genius thing. Not even accident, but they were kind of forced into it because they sold off their biggest like heroes, right? Like they sold off Spider-Man, they sold off the X-Men, right? Like, so they sold off these parts of their thing, and they were forced to tell stories about, you know, comic book characters that, you know, most of us normies
lesser known.
didn't even know.
They were popular to comic book readers, but outside of that, they weren't like pop cultural. Like they weren't Spider-Man.
They weren't touchstones. Like it seems really weird to say now, but the only Marvel character in the MCU that I was even vaguely aware of was Captain America, and I didn't really know much about him.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
You know, like Iron Man was completely foreign to me.
Yeah, nobody,
even Thor, I was like, well, I know like the god Thor, but I don't know the comic book Thor. You know, and so they have really kind of found themselves in this beautiful place where they're able to tell intricate stories about new characters that are connected into this bigger universe. And now they get to play with Spider-Man, right? And now they get to play with X-Men now that they're back. But you
Fantastic Four.
And Fantastic Four, right? They sold off Fantastic Four as well. So it's just been, I think they really kind of lucked into a genius idea, which is taking things that people don't know and, you know, bringing them in. Whereas DC, on the other hand, still had their big hitters. And so their first big thing is Batman v Superman. And it's like, well, we kind of know Batman and Superman. So, you know, and it feels a little more forced and a little more, you know, so yeah.
I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy was announced, and I was just like, "Wow, they're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie." I was like, "I bet they're not going to do Rocket though." And then I hear, "Oh, Rocket's going to be in the movie." I'm like, and then I see that trailer, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
So anyhow,
like they just went for it.
I think that's what we're seeing here now on Disney Plus is the ability to even expand that further and to go a little bit more into the intricacy and what makes the connectedness so cool.
It's chapter storytelling instead of it being a movie storytelling.
Right.
And so there's an ability to kind of play with the watcher, a little bit more and kind of say, this is the first chapter. So the Dick Van Dyke chapter for me was a little bit bland, but you're right. If you're going to be just able to binge that second one and get that taste for the mystery a little more, because it's more on the nose. The mystery and the building tension is more obvious in episode 2, whereas in episode 1, here we just have like that moment at the dinner table.
One scene at the end,
There's that dinner table situation, and it's just like everything, you know, the camera kind of tilts, and it's like, you know, like, hey, this like weird, sort of crazy, creepy thing going on, and you're like, what is happening? And it sits in it just long enough to where you can kind of brush it away and wonder if episode 2 is going to be just another sitcom. Like you're not 100% sure what the tie-in is going to be. And then it becomes very obvious. And I love that it's more obvious. It's more on the nose.
Yes,
because we see
I
some
agree.
things here in episode 1, for example, the symbol of the, I don't know the organization, but there's a symbol that shows up at the end of episode 1 on the screen on the monitor. And it's the little sword symbol. And that shows up in episodes as well, but it's very subtle. It's almost super subtle in 1. And then it gets more and more obvious the more you continue on. So anyhow,
sure.
I'm loving it. I would highly recommend. I think my mom and dad would love this because they like Marvel and they're obviously watch these sitcoms. So I think they would be super into this version. And I'm begging my mom to watch, and I'm experiencing what you have, which is telling me I would love something and I never watch it. So sorry again about that.
To anybody who wants to watch Dick Van Dyke, I will just say all the episodes are on Hulu. They are, if you have Hulu, they're right there. It is a wonderful thing to stream.
They
you
also
just throw
show
it,
it if you have cable still. There's most people have the channel. I think it's Cozy TV, and it's on Sunday nights on that. But I do want to also mention real quick before we get into the video, Deborah Jo Rupp is a fucking all-star, is a rock star.
Yeah.
I think we just don't appreciate her enough. She's
the mom
like a
from
sitcom
that
god.
70s show, yeah.
Who is it?
The mom from the
Deborah Jo
70s show.
Rupp. She plays the boss's wife. She was on that 70s show. She played she played
yes.
Kitty. And she was also on Friends. She played Giovanni Ribisi's former teacher, current wife, or however they did that.
And the boss is a famous voice actor who has gotten into a lot of live action stuff as well. I forget his name, but he's great too. Really great casting. Man, I so want to talk about episode 4. Like, it's just this show is so good, but we will take it piece by piece here. So let's go into the sins and actually the sinning process, which some people have rightfully said, and we actually have a sin right off the top about, like, we understand that this is difficult because we're dealing with mystery here and things that, might be sins now won't be sins later. We totally get that, but we're going to sin whatever we want because that's what we do. So, yeah.
That was one of my favorites.
Danae, why don't you kick us off since you didn't write on this?
Dropping your wife. Love that one. Pretending goose rhymes with lose. And then the lobster that looks like a dick. And with this chicken hanging above it, it's clear that this room goes by the 1950s 2 cocks and clocks standard for interior designing, which I thought was hilarious. And then Austin Terry at Green Arrow 07 tweeted at us and said, my grandmother actually has a lobster thing like this hung up on, and I always make fun of her for its penis shape. So this is a long way to say I love the sin.
Real quick though, that goose and loose one was really funny because Aaron wrote, and when he wrote the sin, he actually wrote loose, which does rhyme with goose.
I did.
So I was just like, I'm so confused right now.
His note was so great. He was like, but doesn't loose rhyme with goose?
And I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my God, am I an idiot? Like, because like... But he just added an O accidentally.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That is funny. Jonathan, what about you?
Well, were you done, Danae? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh, okay. What did I have? Well, you already talked about the giving sins whenever the hell I want to. I did like, do you want herpes, Wanda? Because this is how you get ants. I mean, herpes.
Yep.
Which Danae actually helped massage that one a little bit. And if I remember my Pleasantville correctly, this toaster has just masturbated. I thought was...
I love
Danae,
that
do you
one.
get that reference? Have you seen the movie Pleasantville?
No, but I had to look that up, and I understand.
Yeah. The sitcom mom in that. It is amazing how much Pleasantville is in this show. Pleasantville, Truman Show. Like there's really a lot of that DNA here. But especially Pleasantville. But yes, the very sitcom-y mom in Pleasantville masturbates, and that's when she turns
Joan
into
Allen.
color. Yeah. I enjoyed that one as well. If you're making fun of laugh tracks, it's still a laugh track, which means it's still a sin. And I just wanted to repeat that because in the comments, people were like, no, people were actually there and laughing. I'm like, none of this matters.
We're just
still a
saying
sin.
we don't like laugh tracks regardless.
Doesn't matter how you did it. Doesn't matter why it's there. It is unnatural and we hate it. Nonsensical. What's so nonsensical about take out the papers in the trash or you don't get no spending cash?
I like that one too.
Well, just the idea. Why would you call Yakety Yak nonsensical? Like it's a very straightforward song. But then of course I liked the, who put the bomb in the bomb to bomb to bomb question.
Yes.
And which bomb are they responsible for that one? And now you're using color in a black. Oh, yeah, we already did that, the Pleasantville one. I understand Vision is some sort of fleshy android AI thing, and there's probably some way he could simulate sexual desires, but it doesn't make me any less weirded out by it, although it's still less odd than the sweater he wore in Captain America Civil War.
Danae helped massage that one, too. She was all on top of the sex and herpes sins.
That's right.
That's right. It's all. That's
you
all.
got to go with your strong suits.
We actually went back and forth on how to describe Vision, and eventually described him wrong, and then changed it. And
that was my bad.
Yeah, so it was it's kind of one of those things where we knew we were going to get called out in the comments, so we went ahead and changed it.
I knew it was an android. I just wrote down the wrong. We
wrote him as being like basically a robot / android, and then once I saw it, coming through and it was being edited, and you're looking at it and you're reading, you're like, all I can hear is the hate comments because he's a synthetic.
Right.
Whatever, but let's just go ahead and describe him like he's described on Wikipedia.
Yeah, and the herpes one was, I think we had coronavirus, and it wasn't really working, but, and then Danae is like, well, we can make it herpes, and I was like, perfect.
When in doubt, herpes. All right, let's move on to music video sins. The Weeknd, Blinding Lights. You have to pronounce it that way. The Weeknd.
Yeah.
There's no E in there.
I love this. This song is so infectious.
This is very infectious.
The earworm of 2020.
I totally agree.
It is.
I think it is very, very catchy.
I don't even know if it's good, but
it depends on how you define it, right? If earworm means good, that means it's good. If it's fun to listen to, if that's,
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're not in the mood for yet another song dedicated to the beauty of codependency, then maybe you don't think it's all that good.
Now we go into the portion
Aaron ruins music. That's the segment.
And now our new segment, Aaron ruins music.
You're like, what is that? Who's that guy? Is it Adam? What's the guy? Like the guy that ruins everything?
I think it is Adam ruins everything or something like that. But yeah. No, it's just
you don't really ruin everything, Aaron.
No, just for me, it's just like
you're 100% correct.
More codependency. I'm glad we all feel like we have to love people so much that we can't live without them. Yay, codependency.
I take it like, especially this, because I know he keeps doing these videos that run together. I kind of feel like almost he just created like this character. Like it's almost like a plot line, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I did do some research as well, and he has talked about it also being about drunk driving, which is really interesting because his idea is that he is so in love with somebody and kind of drunk and feeling that he like gets on the road drunk and pursues them. So there's like a danger to how attracted
like your endorphins and whatever.
Yeah, and so like the blinding lights and that kind of stuff is like the danger he's putting himself in because he loves this person so much. Now, the song and even his interview don't necessarily even make it sound like that's a bad thing. Like that's almost a good thing. Like I love them so much I'm willing to drunk drive, which is a really weird thing to kind of, go into.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the interview he says, I don't want to make it sound like, I don't want to glamorize drunk driving. And it's like, well, then just say you're not glamorizing drunk driving. Like, why are you wording it like that? But anyhow, so he's talked a little bit about the meaning as well. But yes, it is a very catchy song. I do not deny that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was like, because I worked on this one, and like, I mean, just every time I hear it, it's like for a week, I'll just be walking around the house going, do, 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 and my wife's just like, God damn it, shut up.
Whereas I'm walking around the house the last few weeks going, WandaVision, WandaVision, WandaVision. Like that is like the earworm that's in my head. Danae, what are your thoughts on this song?
Oh yeah, I listened to it. Sure did.
Do you want to just go into the sins?
What's weird is I did listen to it and I just forgot to write down any sins. I literally am looking for my sins that I wrote down, and I guess I didn't write them down as I thought. So skip me and I'll go glance through and see if there's one that stands out.
I wrote down grabbing the first syringes of halperidol in lorazepam, I'm going to say. And I only wrote that down because can you tell Barrett has worked in medicine?
I wrote that. I'm kidding. I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
Listen, you know what? I would be nonplussed for sure if you had. But yes.
Literally?
I would literally be nonplussed if you had written that.
I did not
but
write
it's
that
possible.
one. He totally did.
But yeah, I just always love how specific Bear gets about that stuff. I love that we use our own kind of specific knowledge to impart on the different narrators. I think that's really fun.
Yeah. I often use my my logistics and purchasing background.
I just talk about menstruation a lot.
Right. Yes. Video ends on 34 seconds.
That was funny. Sorry. That was a visual thing that doesn't work well in a podcast.
That's true. Video ends on 30 seconds of the Weeknd Robert De Niroing, or maybe Johnny Depping, or possibly even Ashton Kutchering. I thought was really funny as well. What about you, Jonathan?
I just like downtown Las Vegas. it's like, but I will say, like, I know there are people that love downtown Las Vegas because that's always the thing, right? You're going on the Strip or you're going downtown, the downtown experience or whatever they call it. So that was just kind of funny. And then we have very different definitions of long enough.
Which is a college girlfriend joke just waiting to happen.
Yeah. And then I loved his take on the beginning where I agree Zoolander was a funny movie because I think I wrote something there, but I went more directly towards like the Joker thing, which it's clearly paying some homage to, I would think.
Yeah.
But I like the way Barrett took it.
Nice. Let's move into CinemaSins. We'll start with Starship Troopers. This was an Atkinson share script, so Chris and Barrett writing on this. I think Chris had some stuff to say about this, so why don't we let him kick us off?
Yeah, welcome to the show, Chris. Nope.
You gonna do a Chris
He's not
imitation
here.
now?
Hey, and for no reason, I'm just gonna say Chris never listens to the show.
Yeah, we found out Chris listens to the show occasionally, so we're going to be on our
Oh
best
my
behavior.
God, that was great. I was dying.
Chris said Starship Troopers is the movie Paul Verhoeven made
job.
after Showgirls. This movie got him back to vaguely satirical sci-fi, much like he did with RoboCop and Total Recall. The world he presents in Starship Troopers is a fascistic society where citizenship is earned through military service. And there's a big baddie out there, a species of alien bugs that humans have been taught to hate. I'm not sure it quite gets there with its satire. The would you like to know more videos are all darkly humorous, and people say casual things like, it's easier to have kids if you're a citizen, and public whippings are normal. Even when they defeat the bugs in the end, there's a sense that the victory isn't as glorious as depicted, that the bugs were a peaceful race that only attacked once they were provoked. But it might have been nice to lay a better foundation for that, so that you might be genuinely horrified at what the humans have done by the end of the movie. Let's make something clear. Denise Richards in 1997 was about as blazing hot as it gets, and I very much enjoyed writing Sins touching on that, not really leaning into it, but I had fun writing some stuff somewhat related to it. Quote, this is a society that's obsessed with bugs when they're not thinking about sleeping with Denise Richards, unquote. And when Patrick Muldoon starts hitting on her in the middle of a football game that he's currently playing, I wondered what Denise Richards' mace budget was back in 1997.
That was a great scene.
I also couldn't resist conjuring up wild things when Casper Van Dien and Neil Patrick Harris are walking together. This is a great threesome, but it's a Matt Dillon and Neve Campbell sort of wild things. Also, this movie has one of the funniest freeze frame moments when a guy is about to get shot in the face and they get a close up of him, and it's like a combination of CGI and bad molding of some sort. It may just be 100% bad CGI, but even before the head gets shot, it's the creepiest looking thing ever. But I think my favorite sin I wrote for this is talking about the green violin Jake Busey finds in a fun box that the military provides for the unit. My observation was that violins aren't fun at all. No offense to the violin, but just because someone makes a neon green version of it doesn't make it a 2 Life Crew CD.
Another
Can we
great
talk about
sin.
the typecasting of Patrick Muldoon in the 90s, by the way? Because in this movie, he woos Denise Richards from Casper Van Dien. And more importantly, and more what really should piss you off, is he's the guy that took Kelly Kapowski away from Zach Morris on Saved by the Bell.
Yes. And,
he was a bad man.
And yes. Very much a
Not
bad
that Zach
man.
Morris owned Kelly Kapowski.
Say,
I don't want that to come across that way.
And we're back to how media portrays women as things to be owned and passed around.
I think Zach and Kelly ended up together based on the new Saved by the Bell, so that's good to know. So Patrick Muldoon did not last.
I think this movie is amazing, and I do think the satire is really tight here. This is so clearly about how fascism uses fear and those kind of things to keep order and to keep power. And boy, if you can't see some parallels to some things that have happened in history, both a while ago and recent, you're just not paying attention, because power always uses fear. I shouldn't say always, but it's just one of the biggest tools to use, is that there's somebody else who you should be scared of. And that's why you have to be violent and fight and all those kind of things. So yeah, man, I think the satire here is really tight. I genuinely think this is a great movie.
I like it. I saw it back in '97 when it came out, and I quite liked it then. And I remember all my friends hated it, and a lot of people hated it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's definitely since then, I think it's become much more beloved. I think it's gone beyond even the cult following. Like, I think it's and based on how the video is performing and stuff. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that really love this movie now. So I think I fell somewhere in between. I think it's definitely a lot better than what it got, like the attention it got in '97. I don't know that I'm quite there with you on how great it is. I will say, I think the casting in this movie is a problem. I don't necessarily dislike the actors, but I don't know. Casper Van Dien is not great in this. Denise Richards is not very good in this. Neil Patrick Harris is fine. And I guess I like Dina Meyer, but I think the cast takes us down. I think the acting, or maybe it's the writing, and what they were asked to do, takes it down a notch. I do think RoboCop and Total Recall are much better movies and are much better examples of what he's going for.
It could be.
This is a good movie.
It could be. I think it's all intentional. I think the casting is intentional and the writing is intentional. I think he's looking for cardboard cutouts. I just prefer watching
Peter Weller and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Sure, I get it.
I do Casper Van Dien.
I totally get it. Danae, your thoughts on Starship Troopers?
I have none.
Fair enough.
Are you a fan of RoboCop or Total Recall, or have you seen them?
I haven't seen them a lot. I haven't seen them recently.
Oh, me?
Aaron,
him.
Sorry.
Of course. Why would you ask me?
RoboCop is amazing. Like, it's just like
I need to watch it again.
Yeah, talk about, like, it's one of the best satires.
Yeah.
It's insane how good it is. But Verhoeven also, interesting. Verhoeven's got a really interesting view on violence, I think.
Yes.
And on sex. I mean, this guy did Basic Instinct and Showgirls. And what's weird about Starship Troopers is it's kind of a combination of, like, RoboCop and Basic Instinct. Or like because there's a lot. This movie is very sexual.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, RoboCop and Total Recall weren't, which is interesting. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of horned up people in this movie.
Yeah, and I think he is processing through some of his own stuff.
Absolutely.
As well as making it satirical, and I think that's the way he's processing a lot of his own stuff, is to go, look what this looks like at its most ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Look how ridiculous this looks. And he's saying that, I think, to himself and to culture in general. And I mean, that's what makes great satire.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's good. I think it's a really good movie. I just don't think I'm quite, to the point you are. I will also say it's based on a Robert Heinlein novel. And Verhoeven hated the novel, which I think you can tell sense. If you've read the novel and watched the movie, because the novel is definitely more pro-war type than, and there wasn't, like, a lot of sex in it.
Yeah, he added that.
He added the sex.
Danae, what were some of the sins that you enjoyed in this one?
I really liked the Rico sent Carmen a cheap animation of them kissing, and then, like, what a virgin.
It was funny.
I thought that was pretty funny. And then the cadets being able to transfer willy-nilly, but just being able to say, based on which direction their hormones were dragging them, was just a nice descriptive. I thought that was a good way of indicating that this is a very horny movie. And then the death from above tattoo, I loved pointing out that that's what a pilot would get and not somebody who's fighting from the ground.
Right.
Just a really great observation. But one that really made me chuckle was nipple sucking. I mean, seriously, that's her first move. It just cracked me up.
I liked Live. Wouldn't there be a huge delay due to how far Earth is from the other planet? The movie Passengers
that
Would
was
Like
good.
a Word made me laugh. Following up the Rico with Suave and then explaining it to those who didn't live through the 90s. I haven't seen football this ridiculous since soccer. Was just
that was
the
amazing.
biggest amazing burn ever. And then it's too bad you can't masturbate while immersed in formaldehyde. I laughed a lot at. And my favorite sin in the entire video, because of just how many layers of meta-ness there is behind it, is, oh, this is the satire part, right? I got to be honest, I am terrible at identifying satire. Is just one of the most beautiful sins I've ever seen. Love that so very, very much.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that. At least a lot of stuff came to mind for me that I guess we don't really have to get into. But I guess the short answer is some people that don't like us.
Right. Just well, I think the short answer is all the conversations about is CinemaSins satire or not satire. And just to have a sin, about a satire movie saying, oh, I don't really understand what satire is in a channel that people argue about whether or not it's satire or not. It's just beautiful. I love every layer of it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I had just you guys said a lot of the ones I was thinking of, but I liked breaking up via DVD. Mm-hmm. Making people walk around your heavy petting. The future envisioned by 1997 looks a lot like 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And humping the bunk, I thought was very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one I had was, damn, every woman Rico looks for excuses not to be with him anymore. Or every woman Rico hooks up with looks for excuses not to be with him anymore when Dina Meyer was about to die.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Next one is Ready or Not. This is a Scott.
Here I come.
Scott
Sorry.
Watkins.
You can't hide. I'm gonna find you. Sorry.
No, it's great. Anytime we can break out into singing, I'm all for it, 100%, and I'm not even kidding. So this was a Scott Watkins script. Jeremy and Jonathan writing on this one together. And today, I'm assuming you haven't seen the movie for many reasons.
No, and I started to watch this one and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should watch this one. And so I just said skip on it. I kind of skipped through it a little bit. I was like, maybe not.
I'm going to say, though, I don't know, because of Samara Weaving's performance, and it does get it does get violent, but I think tonally, I think you would enjoy the movie from what I know. But I don't know if there are triggers in there I'm not aware of.
I know. It's hard for me on these, especially when it's like, I think I skipped forward and saw a kid shoot somebody and I was like, okay, so maybe it's not for me. I don't know. So I just said skip on it, but no, I haven't seen it.
It's definitely not very serious.
Yeah, I'm with Jonathan. Of any of the quote unquote horror movies that we've talked about, I barely consider this a horror movie. It is for me, it's a comedy. There's a lot of humor here. And even more than that, it's a tension movie. It's a suspense movie. It's a chase movie kind of thing. And that's different than, there is gore and there's definitely quite a bit of gore towards the end, but it's not.
Yeah, no, this is a horror movie. It's okay that you liked a horror movie. It's fine.
No, I know it is.
It's a horror comedy.
No, I'm not trying to be like genre police about
I know you're not. I'm joking around.
Is or isn't horror. I just mean like as far as like what I'm attracted to in possible horror movies, this has that stuff. It's got a great sense of humor. Yeah. There's a lot of tension to it. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I think this is a really good movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot. I liked it more. This was the second time I had watched it because I saw it in the theater and I really enjoyed it. I liked it even more this time. And we talk about this in the video. The ending of this movie is so great in so many ways, but I think the main reason it's great is just because they actually go for it. And I feel like this movie ends the only way it could, but I feel like in some people's hands it would not have ended that way.
Right. Yeah.
They would have done something else. And Jeremy, which I guess he probably wrote something on this, but that was my favorite thing about this was Jeremy discovering how much he loved this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Jeremy
fun.
getting excited about something is so fun. I
Yeah.
know. And like when he sent me the first Combine, he just wrote, "I fucking loved this movie."
It's really good. It's really,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
What did Jeremy have to say?
He said, "This might be the most fun I've had with a horror film since Cabin in the Woods." Samara Weaving's, is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
Or his? I'm not sure.
it's a girl. Yeah, it's a woman.
Okay. I'll say Samara Weaving owns this movie and does so from the start. As Jonathan wrote in The Sins, you cast a lesser actress here and this movie does not work. The full cast is great. The conceit, it's stupid, but the execution is fun as shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's bloody, spontaneous, surprising, and awesome. There are still a lot of stupid things in this movie, and The Sins video covers them all. I mean, The Sins video covers them well.
And all of them, every single
Guys.
one of them. Every single one of them.
I guess my favorite sin is the one at the end. I think Jonathan wrote it, where we say, "Too bad she's going to jail forever," or some such, because that is exactly what will happen to her. I particularly enjoyed breaking down the lyrics of the hide and seek song, which are stupid.
That was a great
He
scene.
did. That did, for some reason, that irked him. Yeah,
Oh,
that
there's
ending
more.
is.
There's more.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I have to copy this onto a Word document because otherwise all the words are too small from Slack.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just on a different page. He continues. And I liked mocking the family's shitty aim. But no matter the flaws or sins, I really love this movie.
Another great example of a movie that has plenty of sins in it, but that is still awesome. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
another
But
example that it doesn't mean anything when a movie has sins.
Absolutely.
so,
He's
yeah.
right about that ending, though. Like, she is royally fucked at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Because she's the only survivor
Right.
of, like, all these rich people getting killed. Like, she's screwed.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's in many. I remember talking about this when kind of when it was out. I forget which came first, but Knives Out and Ready or Not are really similar in a lot of thematic ways, and they end on a very similar note too, which I just find really interesting.
No, I think that's a great comparison.
Yeah. All right. I'll Danae. So I'm assuming you don't have sins written down. Then if you just kind of skip through it and decided to do the skip thing. So I will mention a few that I liked. The movie works just fine, maybe even better without the flashback opening scene. Is such a great point, and I agree 100%. I really, it's becoming maybe my biggest pet peeves about movies is starting with something that ruins a fun surprise. And so many movies are doing the bet you're wondering how I got here thing, where it starts at either the middle or the end of the movie and then kind of works its way back. And so many times those kind of scenes ruin what could be an interesting or fun journey. And in this case, it gives a lot of background that could have been better if we'd experienced it like she was. And so, yeah, I wanted to mention that sin because I totally agree.
There's nothing about that makes you understand anything better. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's something. I mean, I guess you're supposed to know what Adam Brody and his brother went through, but it doesn't change anything. Like, you get that through their performances as adults.
Right. Yeah. This is like, speaking of herpes, everything is better with herpes. This is like having herpes and right before sex with a person you say, "I'm giving you an out," but you don't say that the in is herpes. Such a great point. And I especially liked his delivery of the Adam Sandler line from A Wedding Singer when he was like, "Things that could have been brought to her attention yesterday." Yeah, I love that. I feel like this family is cheating like a bunch of Astros. I had to give that a shout out.
Oh, yeah.
I really hope they go into the reason why the family has all of the female staff dress up like they're about to shoot a Robert Palmer video. I bet that story is simply irresistible.
Thank you. When I first watched the movie, that's all I could think of was they looked like they were right out of a Robert Palmer video. So I was glad I got to write sins.
Yeah, that was really awesome. What were some of the ones, Jonathan, that you wanted to point out?
I just love the definitive sins from Jeremy. So in this one, we had no one in the mirror shot is in the same location in the next shot. No one. I don't know, something about the way he definitively says stuff. It's so funny to me. I enjoyed just saying, "Go fuck yourself, half burnt face guy." I just thought that was really funny. His tombstone should read, "He could take a kick to the nuts as well as anyone."
Yeah, that was a good.
And I got to say, sitting in this movie, that the guy she's marrying it was like we had to cut so much because we had too much, because it was just every 3 or 4 minutes you could just be like, wow, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah, the biggest flaw in the movie is that we're ever supposed to care about him in any way, and that she continues to kind of see him as valuable hero is a little weird.
She's like flipped the fuck out. So, I mean, at least I guess, and she does kind of come more to a realization towards the end that she just needs to get the hell out of there. So, I mean, you can forgive that to a point, but there's still like that part where she kisses him and you're just like, no. Like, there is no way that you would do this.
And the second biggest flaw is just how noisy she is when she's trying I'm just like, anyhow.
Yeah, but and then or make the curse something else like gonorrhea, so we can just talk about all the STD sins.
That's right. Might as well.
And choking the tourney, I thought was a great turn of phrase. Henry Cerny, much like Deborah Jo Rupp, is someone we don't appreciate enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Very well done. Love the movie. Love the Sins video. Both things can happen at the same time. Let's move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Ha ha! Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're going to talk a little bit about the process of putting stuff together. I already talked about the cord jumbling chaos monster coming from very real parenting experience. What did you guys have in your keeping tabs this week?
I'll go, I guess, first. I have a "you done messed up" Joe Nathan. I don't know how else to put that. So I'll go with Joe Nathan.
I love it.
So rightfully so, it got pointed out that I wrote a sin that we kept in about them in WandaVision. They walk through the living room chair, and I made the point, like, why would Wanda's dress go through that? Because that's not part of Vision. But it was just an idiotic thing. I just didn't think about it. She's the one actually casting the spell in that moment. So she's making Vision able to walk through it and herself. And I misread it and didn't think about it.
Yeah, I didn't catch it either. Yeah.
I didn't catch it either.
No, that was definitely wrong. But, it happens.
I think that would be you messed up B-team. B-team.
But the thing is, I really should have known that because I've read comics and I just really should have known that. And for some reason, it just struck me the other way. And it could have been the way they presented it. It just...
Right.
Sometimes you just can't unsee something, I guess. I don't know. I did also, I don't know what of this could eventually be spoilers, but I wrote a sin about Babs Digby. And because they, at the end of the show within the show, Babs Digby is a character listed as a producer, and I thought that name was just so weird. I was like, that's got to be something. And there's a ton of Easter eggs in the show. Like, for instance, like the toaster commercial. Vision is often referred to as a toaster. So you have like an actual toaster, and it even had the red dot, so there was a ton of stuff in this show. But the Babs Digby thing, I just looked it up because I was just really curious, and there was a lot of interesting theories out there, and they're probably all bullshit, but there was a 1940s radio program and TV series called The Life of Riley, which featured one character named Babs and another one named Digby. So you could look at it, maybe they were just paying homage to another show. But the other thing about that was weird was The Life of Riley popularized the catchphrase, "What a revolting development this is," which is a very popular catchphrase of the Things from Fantastic Four. So some people are trying to say maybe, but I think it's probably the latter. I think it's probably the former, that they're paying homage.
I heard that it was a Fantastic Four reference as well, and I don't remember what that was, but there's definitely a lot of theorizing going on right now that this is where we're going to start getting into X-Men, Fantastic Four, that kind of
which
stuff.
I guess would make sense.
Sure. Yeah.
I would be shocked though if we didn't see them first in a movie.
Right? That'd be wild. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
But there's a character, so I think this was a little more far-fetched, but there's a character named Jonathan Digby, who is a comic book character. But the reason somebody brought him up was because in the comic, he worked for Heart Consolidated. And of course, within the show, Vision works for Heart Computational Forms, or whatever that company's called.
Yeah.
Mr. Hart was on the calendar. And then also they mentioned director Abe Brown, which was kind of interesting because Abe Brown is a character from Amazing Spider-Man. I actually didn't know that. I think he was a a student at the school with Peter. But yeah, there's a ton of Easter eggs, as you would expect. But the Babs Digby one just kind of struck me as interesting, so that's why I looked it up.
Today, what's your keeping tabs this week?
I didn't write on anything this week, but I did look up something for WandaVision whenever I was shadowing that script, which was essentially like, okay, so what exactly is Vision? And so I just wanted to read what it says on marvelcinematicuniverse.fandom.com. It says Vision was an android who possessed a synthetic body, also referred to as synthezoid, made from vibranium created by Ultron with Helen Cho's help, using the powerful artifact known as the Mind Stone to bring Vision to life. Just wanted to clear that up for everybody.
Totally clear now. Crystal clear now.
Super clear.
Well, and what's interesting, I believe in the movies, it's Jarvis, right? Because Paul Bettany was the voice of Jarvis for Tony Stark.
Yes, Stark uploaded the last of Jarvis's code into a synthetic body, and he became part of a whole new entity.
Yeah, so in the comics, that's not really how Vision... I don't believe that's how Vision's created, but it's been a while. But I do know Jarvis is an actual person in the comics, or at least was. They could have retrofit, they do some stuff to match with the movies, but that was definitely something different in the movies because Jarvis was actually his butler.
I have
whatever.
really enjoyed watching a lot of YouTube video clips of Paul and his interviews that he's been doing since WandaVision has obviously been gaining popularity and everything. And one of the stories he told was the day that he was called to play Vision, literally moments beforehand had been told by one of the casting people or something like this in Hollywood that he would never work in Hollywood again. He was washed up, dried up, and nobody was interested in him. And he said he walked out of that meeting and he sat down on the streets of Hollywood, like the Boulevard type style situation, and just put his head down in his hands and was just devastated. And literally his phone rings in his pocket and it was Marvel saying, "Hey, do you want to play Vision?"
Good God. I could never be an act. I'm not good at acting, but I mean, I'm just saying I could not live my life.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's just a brutal thing. And so he just laughed and he's like, yeah, of course. And he turned around and just kind of flipped the bird to the building and, went on with his career, which is now playing, Vision in this new way. And I just thought that was a really encouraging story. And it kind of reminds me even of another story that I'm hearing a lot about too, of maybe I can use that for my Beyond the Sins, actually.
Oh,
I'll go do that.
Little tease.
I'll
He gets to, more importantly, he gets to wake up next to Jennifer Connelly every morning. So
yeah, that was something I didn't realize, that he was married to Jennifer Connelly. And so I got to watch a couple of interviews of the two of them together. So that was cool.
They're cute.
I
think she would have liked me better if she ever met me, but it's okay. Paul seems like a good guy. They seem like a really cool couple. They've been together for a while, I think, right?
Well, they have an interesting story too that I learned from watching all those articles or all the different things I've watched. They met at a movie, I believe. They did a movie together. And they liked each other, but they had never dated or anything. And then 9/11 happened and he was, I think, in Tuscany, somewhere like that. Maybe that's where he's from or something. I don't remember, but he said he was in Tuscany, I believe. And he tried to get a hold of Jennifer over and over again. And when he finally connected, he in that time frame where he couldn't reach her, he realized it was because he loved her. And so when he called her,
she lived in New York, I guess.
Yeah. And when he got on the phone with her, he's just like, "Hey, I'm coming to you. Let's get married." And she said, "Okay." And they literally had never gone on a date or anything. Yeah. Pretty cool.
That's amazing. I will continue the Paul Bettany hour by mentioning that if you want to see his more dramatic side, he was in a movie this year called Uncle Frank, where he does some really powerful acting. So yeah.
I've heard he's really good in that. I was just thinking in my head, it would have been really funny if you want to see more of his dramatic side, you should watch this little movie called The Da Vinci Code, where he plays an albino monk who whips himself.
Yeah. Nope, wasn't going to say that.
Or what was that one where he plays it was that Night movie?
Oh, is he in the one with Heath Ledger, Knight's Tale? Is him, right?
Because I used it in an outtake on the next.
Yeah, he's the what do you call that? He's not a jester,
like a crier or something. Yeah.
He announces the,
which I didn't know until I was looking for outtakes.
Well, I will go ahead and add a keeping tabs here, just because I do realize when I was doing research on the stuff this week, I did stumble on some comments and some other stuff on the shower scene in Starship Troopers, the co-ed shower scene.
I'm sure you investigated that.
I investigated it thoroughly, but I remember I had heard a story about the shooting of that scene, and so I wanted to look up and see if that story is true. And basically, the rumor is that while they were shooting that scene, one of the actors said, if we're going to stand here naked during this whole scene, you should be naked too, and that he shot the scene naked. And so I did look that up, and yes, he is quoted in an interview as saying that I forget how here it is. So one cast member said they would only get naked if we did. Well, my cinematographer was born in a nudist colony, and I have no problem with taking my clothes off, so we did. It's strange, but of course Americans get more upset about nudity than ultraviolence. I'm constantly amazed about that. I mean, I haven't seen any sex scenes in American film that are anything other than completely boring. A bare breast is more difficult to get through the censors than a body riddled with bullets. So just another little bit of insight to kind of how he thinks about things. And yeah, it was one of those things where I had heard it in my mind that one of the actors was uncomfortable being naked and was like, I don't want to do this, and that he kind of flew off the handle and was like, look, there's no big deal to it, I'll do it, and took his clothes off, which is a different angle kind of on how he's telling it. So I don't know what actually happened, but I think it is fairly confirmed that yes, he was naked while they shot this scene.
I would think it's probably more that, because I mean, before anyone signed a contract, it would be like, hey, you're shooting the, so I would think but maybe they were a little just nervous. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do this too." And
right?
I've heard of directors doing things like that.
What a strange working environment, huh?
Which I mean, yeah, assuming it is the nicer way you put it.
Right.
I find that nice.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with him about his views on the strange difference between violence and nudity.
It does not shock me that dude has no issue being like naked around people.
Right. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to pull a comment from the different various places that you interact with us that we appreciated. I kind of pulled a Danae this week, and I have several comments.
Go for it.
So I'll go first. Eat It Joe's, or maybe I should go last, right? I should go last just in case you guys have the same comments I do. I think that makes sense. Danae, what's yours this week?
Well, I don't have one.
Jonathan, what's yours?
It's really interesting. I didn't we had some really nice stuff on Twitter this week, and I kind of just assumed you guys were going to talk about that, so I didn't want to take it. But Danae already mentioned the Austin
this
Green.
Is literally my problem. I was like, okay, I've got some on Twitter that I like. I've got some on YouTube.
Well,
I'm going to assume I'm not going to go first, and I'll let them talk, and then I'll pick whatever one didn't get.
Well,
we're all doing the same thing today.
I've got a bunch. I'll just go, guys. Listen,
I have a comment.
Okay,
I have a comment.
All right.
I was not saying I didn't have a comment. I just wanted to, but I did want to mention that we got that really, really nice review, and I cannot remember what that person said.
Oh my God, yes.
So
can we talk about that for
Sure.
Luke?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I would love to do that. I didn't know if it was going to be too long.
Well, I mean, we don't have to read the whole
We're going to read the entire
We're
thing.
not reading the entire review.
Just read the part about you. That's what you want to
Yes,
talk about.
Just read the sentence where it's like, Danae is obviously the best thing about this show.
We got this really nice review. It did say Danae was the best thing about the show. I was the only person he wanted to hang out with, though. Just make that very clear.
That's true. I'm just the dad.
I felt bad
apparently.
I didn't drink beer anymore. But
No, it was a really great review. I loved that so much because it was, to me, very evident that the show grew on him as time went on and helped him through hard times and laughter, and just that's what we're trying to make sure we're doing is create a show you guys love to listen to. I love that he said that he could hear us talk about anything for hours, and we do hear that from you guys a lot, and it means so much to us.
And so now with that in mind, we're going to talk about our favorite types of lighting for the next hour or so.
That's right.
If you want to follow him, it's at @lost_movies, and his website is lostinmovies.watch.
Yeah, thanks for the nice review. Jonathan, what are you going to use as your comment then if you're not going with that?
I had just one from Ready or Not. This was Libby Williams, and they wrote, the Sins video is going to be good when Jeremy starts singing. And then they wrote singing with a question mark. And I agree. Nice. We, as much as we can get Jeremy to sing, we go for it. It's
absolutely
fun.
Absolutely. Danae, I don't know what the hand motions mean.
Like, that's a weird wrap up.
Well, I just feel like, so the comment that I want to pull from is from our YouTube channel for BTS.
Mm-hmm, sure.
I've mentioned this person multiple times, but it's the great question from Charted Studios.
We got it. They're paying you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm getting some tips on my coffee website or my Ko-Fi website, whatever you want to call it. I have a question. Did you guys watch much CinemaSins before you started working there? And what was your opinion of it at first? And if not, what was your first experience seeing it and your opinion then?
Mine's pretty simple. I mean, I was already, I was informed that it was happening because I was already really good friends with Chris and Barrett, and I knew Jeremy obviously as well. I just didn't know him as well. So I watched it pretty much, I think, second or third video, and I mean, my opinion was biased, but I still feel like I genuinely loved it.
One of the fun things about my now legendary story of how I discovered the Sins video, which is that I told Jeremy, who's a great friend of mine, have you seen this new Sins video? This would be something you'd love. And he's like, dude, that's my voice. So
thanks, friend.
That's how I was introduced. But one of the good things about that story is the fact that I did get a chance to experience it before I realized it was Jeremy. Like I know how much I enjoyed it. I know how much I loved it. So I am biased, of course, because Jeremy and I are great friends. But I do remember thinking, oh, this is a really fun concept to make a video / a lot of jokes about what every movie lover does, which is to nitpick. So yeah, I thought it was really fun.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
My introduction was through Aaron. We were doing Sif Pop podcast / Shoe the Dough podcast at the time on a regular basis. And so at that time he was like, hey, I've got this friend who has this video on YouTube that went viral. And I think I watched one or two at the very beginning, but because I don't watch a lot of movies, I didn't really go back to it. So I don't remember my first opinions except for it being cool. Your friend's doing something cool. That's neat,
Well, it's interesting to hear you tell that story. You do realize we had done movie reviews with Jeremy before CinemaSins became a thing.
No, I didn't remember that, but now I do. So excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I remember Jeremy coming on and talking with us on the Sif Pop segment when it was on Shoe the Dough as a segment instead of its own podcast. Yep. And it was just, this is my friend Jeremy, and he loves movies. So,
and it happened soon after that. Like, it was that summer of 2012 when we were doing that with Jeremy, and then I think CinemaSins happened later that fall of 2012, I believe, if my timeline is correct.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think just because I don't really dig in the same way, it's not something that I went to watch every single release, because I haven't seen so many. And before starting this job, I also don't like to be spoiled on things, even though I don't watch things. So I wouldn't have watched these videos because there's a chance that it would ruin something for me if I wanted to watch it later. And I do run into that now, but I've kind of just had to let it go. It's the nature of my job now, in a way.
I'm the same way.
My opinion of it, I think, would be different if I didn't know the guys as well as I do. Mm-hmm. Also, jumping into CinemaSins from a fan base as a writer and kind of just jumping straight into the center of it, I feel is a little bit different than trying to understand the channel in a more natural kind of progression way, where maybe someone finds one that they really like on YouTube and then they continue to watch them and really love them, and then the fan base grows and you join the Discord and you get involved in our fan base. I didn't have that experience. I just jumped straight into the center of it, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. I have a couple comments from the, first I wanted to mention this one from, I think it was the music video Sins. We've talked about it before. This is a great example of it. Ray Wastikin says, how in the ever-loving sin gods are there comments from 19 and 18 hours ago when this was posted a few minutes ago? This is on a video with the ad that says, have you ever wondered? why there are comments from long ago. So
Wow.
I wanted to mention that one. It's one of my favorite things. No judgment whatsoever. I just think it's so funny how humans do that. These come from WandaVision, and I think I'm really going to love the comment section. And I don't mean this section of the podcast. I mean of the WandaVision videos, because of how much like people catch different things and think about different theories and that kind of stuff. But Edith Joe was talking about June 2nd when she says, I could call if I named his beer June 2nd, maybe he'd remember our anniversary kind of thing. And Edith Joe says June 2nd is when the witch trials happened in our world. And Agatha keeps mentioning Ralph, her husband, as the devil. There's some really, and I can't do this because it's episode 4 stuff, but there's an episode 4 thing that plays into some thoughts I'm having about. I think this may be a really smart observation about Agatha and her husband.
Well, and somebody wrote an article recently. God, I don't want to say the wrong person. I think it's Richard Nolby, who I follow on Twitter. I think that's who wrote it. I apologize if it's somebody else. But somebody wrote an article theorizing that Mephisto is going to be the next like big bad, the next Thanos, which that would fall in line obviously with the devil.
The devil, yeah.
And I mean Lucifer is an actual, villain.
Every Christian knows that.
I mean, I'm talking about in the comics.
Okay.
And then the other one I wanted to mention were the lines. They quoted the lines, "My wife and her flying saucers," and then she says, "My husband in his indestructible head." And somebody said, "Do you think that line was meant to remind us the last time we saw Vision and how his head proved to be very destructible?" And I hadn't even thought about that. That is absolutely a reference to that, and it just flew right over my head. And so
because your head is
destructible. It's destructible. It's destructible for sure.
So wait, is that indicating that he would have survived, or that she's having a hard time because she is the one that destroyed it and she doesn't want that to be true?
Yes. Bingo. Yes. Bingo. And I think.
Wait a second. Does that mean the Vision's dead? Oh no.
Listen.
Oh no. No. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
But we know Vision's dead. We saw it in Endgame.
But everything is undone in Marvel. Everything is undone in comics. Everything is undone in comics. There's always alternate timelines. There's always a way. Hold on a second. Oh shit, I'm not ready. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Not ready.
I'm so very sorry.
This is why you should never watch anything.
You have to feel emotions and stuff.
Feel shit. Oh,
anyhow, no. I'm really, really going to love.
Now I don't want to watch the show anymore.
Well, you do. You know you do.
I have to because it's my job.
That's right.
We are doing an instance, and we're not going to stop just because I don't want Vision to be dead.
Let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Let's chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we've seen recently. I want to start, and it was something we mentioned in the last show that I wanted to bring up because I think, Danae, you talked about Burrowed for your Beyond the Sins, or Burrow, or whichever it is, which is the Pixar short that is, they're called Spark Shorts, that are on Disney Plus. And then Jonathan, we had mentioned the Pixar Popcorn that they just released. And so I checked those out. There are 10 episodes.
Cool.
I will say, as a matter of something I wish I had known when I started watching these, there is a quote-unquote 11th episode that is just all of them strung together. I wish I had known that because I would have just played that rather than, having to click through all 10 of them. These are very short. Like these, like you think Pixar shorts are short. These are like, short, almost commercial length, right? Like they're like 60 seconds, maybe 120 seconds, that kind of thing. And it also is worth mentioning to temper your expectations that they are, with one exception, which are the ones I enjoyed the most, are without voice talent. They're very much, there's a lot of physical comedy, miming, that kind of stuff, because they didn't get like, Tim Allen to come voice Buzz Lightyear, or Ellen DeGeneres to do some more lines for Dory. So you're going back into these movies for these little vignettes, but they're very almost silent film-ish in that way. They're not silent, but the idea is it's a lot about the actions. That really impacts my ability to invest in them. I didn't really like these. They were cute enough, funny enough, and I guess if you're throwing them on, to watch with your kid, you're gonna maybe smile a few times. But they really lose a lot when they're handcuffed in that way because these characters. And in this scene, even though it's 60 seconds to a minute in, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever, Buzz Lightyear's character is going to be saying things. He's a smart aleck. He's going to be interacting and he just doesn't. And so it becomes strange and off-putting and weird and a distraction that nobody's talking. And the two where they are talking, it's Key and Peele characters from Toy Story 3, Bunny and Ducky. Those were my favorite ones. And not coincidentally, those are the ones where there's actual, words spoken. So I would give that warning. I didn't really enjoy these, but I mean, they could be pleasant, just something to throw on for a few minutes and watch with your kid or something. But I always
a little disappointing to hear, though. I know what you're saying. That sucks.
Yeah, no, and I think it's it's valuable for me to not like something Pixar, and for people to know that can occasionally happen.
When you're watching a Pixar movie or whatever, you're comparing it to other Pixar. You're not right. And it's hard not to, right? Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah.
Because it's built up such a brand and it has so many like stone cold classics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not to say they're not clever. They just didn't quite work for me. I actually really enjoyed the Luxo Jr., how he hops on the eye before every, there's a different version he does in each of these Pixar popcorns that's clever and funny and was just kind of cute. I like that more because Luxo Jr. doesn't have a voice, right? Like, so it's what I expect from him. But yeah, anyhow. So there you go, Pixar Popcorn. Jonathan, what about you?
I watched, oddly enough, although I don't think we mentioned it by name in the outtakes, but a response or you or I had came up in there, but I was asking you about The Kid Detective.
Oh, yeah.
Last week. So I watched that. So The Kid Detective is a movie from 2020. And I feel like with a lot of movies from 2020, word of mouth is the only way people are going to even know they exist because it's such a weird year, right?
Yeah.
There's just so many movies I even still haven't seen. I'm discovering this, trying to, watch these that I haven't seen. But anyway, so this is a movie from 2020. Adam Brody plays I think he's supposed to be like 32. He's like early 30s, but he is a former kid detective, I guess. He's kind of like a Nancy Drew or Encyclopedia Brown. Mm-hmm. When he was a kid, he solved a couple of mysteries that kind of made him, like he got him some notoriety in the town. And even to the point where the mayor, they bought him office space and let him like have a career doing that. And now he's in his 30s. He is still doing that, but he's basically still doing like the kid stuff. Like he's just, I should say real quick, I guess this isn't spoiling anything. One thing that happens when he's a kid is a girl in the town goes missing and everybody kind of puts pressure on him to find her, even though he's a freaking kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of, I guess, fucks with him because he never does find her. And so now it goes to he's an adult. This is a movie where I think showing past actually does work. I will say.
It's important. It's valuable.
It is important in this one. But anyway, so now as an adult, he is still just kind of meandering through life. And every now and then he'll get hired to like find a cat or something. But then a student at the local high school gets murdered. And the boy's girlfriend actually hires him to find out who did it. So he gets like his first, I guess, adult case. Adam Brody is outstanding in this movie. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie where he's the lead. I'm not, because he's in Ready or Not.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's very good in Ready or Not. He was Seth Cohen on the OC. He was in Jennifer's Body, which Danae and Barrett sent pretty recently. He's a very fun actor, but I've never seen him in a performance like this. He's I don't really even know what to compare it to. One movie it did kind of make me think of, even though they're different, but The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which was another 2020 movie. The two lead characters, the Adam Brody character and the lead character in that, just were kind of similar in like the way they went about life and just kind of their attitude. And I don't really know I don't know what it is about this type of character, but I really enjoy it. It's kind of like one of those things where like 99% of the time, they're probably the smartest person in the room, and they really don't know how to deal with that. It's not like Sheldon Cooper on Big Bang Theory.
Right.
You know, it's not like showing people up. It's more like being uncomfortable with the fact that everybody else is kind of like an idiot to you because you know more than them.
Right.
And it creates this interesting dynamic that I just find fascinating. And also just the tone of this movie is really cool. If you just want to see a good murder mystery, it's not a bad mystery. Like, that's pretty cool. But the reason it becomes like a great movie, in my opinion, is mainly because of Adam Brody and just the tone of the whole piece. So it's a high recommend.
Yeah.
It immediately jumped into my top 5 of 2020. High recommend. It's so
Nice.
good. So good.
That is $20, I think, VOD right now.
Actually, I don't know. I think I just bought it for because it was on Vudu for like $10 or something. Actually, I think you can just rent it now. Yeah, you can rent it. It's like $5.
Okay, I was thinking it was
so
still $20.
It's not, I don't think it's on a. It's not on a like a subscription streaming service yet.
Yeah.
But you can rent it for like $5.
Okay,
it'll probably pop up on Hulu or something down the road.
Nice, Danae. What do you got?
I was going to tell another positive story that I found.
Boo. I'm kidding.
This one starting with something that I saw. Here's the bunny trail for how I got there. Instagram, Tadashi, who is someone I follow. Maybe it was Derek Minor. One of those two. They posted a video clip from Jimmy Fallon and said, "Go follow my friend Thad Cockrell." I don't know if you guys have been watching any of this, but essentially, Jimmy Fallon was just at the start of the lockdown and quarantining and everything. The show was still being done, at his house at that time, and he had to go to the hardware store, and he was walking through the hardware store, and everything was just really kind of unknown and everything. And he heard this song. Ooh, I'm da 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 da. Nope, that's the one we did earlier. Okay, what's the song? No, it's one that kind of gets stuck in your head, and it's if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging. And it just got into his head, and he opened up his app, Shazammed it to figure out who it was, and called to get him on the show. Well, the artist's name is Thad Cockrell, THAD_COCKRELL on Instagram. And when he called Thad, he was about to quit. He'd actually just submitted a letter to his group and to his manager and everything saying, okay, so we did this album, we were ready to go, then the pandemic hit, we can't go anywhere, we can't promote the album, I've got to get a job, so I'm gonna call it quits. And he had just submitted this letter, and his manager, whomever it was, called him and said, hey, I'm reading your letter, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about how you're going to be on The Tonight Show instead. And so just single-handedly, another one of those insane moments where he was literally like, I'm going to go down swinging. I've gone down swinging as much as I can, but I got to go get a job, guys. So, and then because Jimmy heard it, and it became his anthem during the pandemic, where he was like, it just got into his head and he loved it. So it's a really cool story. And you can see all the videos of Jimmy Fallon talking about it and saying Thad's going to be on next week. And then Thad goes on and he does his performance. And now he's like #1 on iTunes charts right now and stuff. So it's just a cool story. And it's actually a really, really good song. And I highly recommend it. So that's what I wanted to talk about this week.
Nice. Thad Cockrell, if you want to look it up and check out kind of all that whole story.
It's a cool story.
It's a very cool story.
It's a good way to. Sorry, I booed it. You were just like, I'm going to tell a positive story. I was like, no, why would we want that?
No positivity. Boo. Negativity only.
We all have to be angry, Danae.
That's right. Don't you know? Don't you know that's what we're all about here? Is anger and destroying
Aaron's
stuff?
so angry all the time.
I do have to say, I am interested in the album, in Thad's album, because he talked about how on like one of his Instagram posts how he couldn't have written the album if he hadn't have had influences from several different genres and artists that he's really enjoyed. And he just has a really cool sounding voice. The album is called If in Case You Feel the Same, and it came out in 2020. So like just bad timing for one to come out. But at the same time, now it's getting a lot of attention and people are really clinging on to it for a lot of the music that's just got it's got a good vibe. He's got a good vibe. So
very cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Behind the Scenes this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us, P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri, 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, a well-organized power strip, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy Creative Vacuum Day.
Wait, what?
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Chickity, chickity.
You know what? I'm just going to be late today. And you might think, well, how is that different than normal? Well, I'll tell you, it's not.
You're doing a Jeremy with your hat?
Is that what this is? Am I pulling a Jeremy?
I don't know.
Is wearing a beanie pulling a Jeremy?
I'm pretty sure worldwide that's how it's known.
If my hair gets really goofy looking, I will wear a hat more often. But my wife makes me get my hair cut like every 6 weeks. So, I mean, she doesn't make me. I mean, I don't think she would divorce me or anything if I didn't get it cut. But she encourages me, which I like it too. Because once my hair gets to a certain point, I get really irritated with it.
My husband has hair preferences as well. You're talking about she wouldn't divorce me, but I could go cut my hair in a specific way, but Justin would absolutely hate it. And I don't know that it matters that much. Like, he hates pixie cuts. So I could never cut my hair super short and not have it be like me come home and him visibly be like, oh no.
I doubt it.
He has told me many times, he's like, please don't give yourself a pixie cut. Please don't cut your hair.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I don't think that's bad to have
I cannot complain about that. I have literally been like, please God, Justin, please don't do that to your hair ever again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It works both ways.
It's just so foreign to me. Like, I cannot imagine what Jen would do that I'd be like, don't ever do. Like, she could come home bald and I'd be like, that's awesome. That is so cool. Do you love it? Like, I
don't think Justin would really be upset, would he? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. This is the man who every morning tweets out, "It's a good day for you to love everyone."
That's right. He's awesome. Your husband is awesome. Let's be very clear.
It's interesting to me too, because Justin's seen pictures of me with pixie cut before, and he'll say, yeah, I just don't like it. I just don't like that. I like you. You're beautiful. I love you. I don't like that.
Help me understand, but that's not something people can help, right? Like, that's just something that people have built into them over time, that certain things are more attractive than others. I'm genuinely at a loss here. Like, obviously I have certain attractive triggers, I have said before, I think no makeup is more attractive than makeup, right? Like, that's right. That's a thing, but it's one of those things where my brain does weird things. I'm just like, I don't understand the idea of, I don't think you look good this way. Like, it doesn't register with me.
Yeah. It's funny. It's weird how some things can come across. I was recently told after wearing lipstick, that in a weird way, they're like, you look glamorous. I'm like, wearing lipstick. So sorry. But it does hit you weird. It's like,
I mean, I can see that.
Cool, yeah. I guess.
And my point was that we've never seen them any other way. Mm-hmm. I've now seen Aaron with dreads. He was not pulling that off. I'm kidding. You look like Christian Bale from Harsh Times, though. Jeremy was straight up. I couldn't think of what it was, but then when he said Harsh Times, I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, that hairstyle was one of my favorites to rock. Mm-hmm. The everything shaved below the crown.
Yeah.
So everything shaved below the crown, long hair on the crown, but then with a tight braid, like a dreadlock braid, and then braids down the back. That was my favorite look of all time. I loved that so much.
Cool.
I had a conversation privately with someone just saying I would never do that again, just because I've become aware of the idea of appropriation, the idea of taking a look that is from a different culture and making it your own. And so like, even if internally I know my heart is fine, I don't mean anything by it, I'm not trying to downplay something or make fun of something or anything like that. I don't want to hurt anybody. And so like, I would never do it again, but I really did love that look.
Yeah, Jared Leto in Panic Room.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Which was probably around that time, right? When you were sporting that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were trying to be Jared Leto. That's cool.
That's my life's goal has always been to be a little more Leto, you know? This is the thing, right? Who can explain physical attraction and why it works the way it does and what it's about? And
that's what I'm saying is like, Justin, if his preference is so strong that he's like, I would look at you every day and vomit a little bit in the back of my throat.
Oh, come on. That's so mean.
Now that would be
so
bad.
Mean. But you're right. I get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying.
Why would I cut my hair that way?
You know, talking about all this also makes me realize my wife would probably like it if I did have more clear like attractions that she could play into. You know what I mean? Because she will ask me questions. Does my hair look better like this or like this? And I'm like, it's the same amazing you underneath. Like, it really doesn't. And she's like, no, tell me which you like better. I'm like, I really don't have a preference. So.
You know, I feel like a bad friend because I think everybody wants a friend like you, Aaron. But having a friend like you that's constantly encouraging is really exhausting.
I know. I understand this. I'm sorry.
I say that to the extreme. It's not really exhausting. I'm pushing into it for fun, but
well, and Aaron's acting like having a preference is rude, and it's not because you're not saying that like I disapprove of you doing something else.
No, but that's
you're
the
just
thing.
saying I prefer this over this.
But that's the thing. I'm not acting. I'm not acting at all.
It's impossible. Even if it's 0.5% more, it is impossible not to have a preference.
Then I am the impossible man. I genuinely don't have a preference which way it looks. She genuinely could come home bald and I would be fine.
Oh, no, I believe you. That's a totally different thing. But there's still, I don't know. I disagree.
I have preferences, but it has nothing to do with the length of hair, color of hair, style of hair. Like that does not impact me.
No, of course you don't care if she gets bald because, like, what if your loved one gets cancer and it has to have a mastectomy or something? Of course you don't care about stuff like that. I mean, obviously you don't because you want them to be healthy and stuff. That's a whole other thing, though.
Right? No, I genuinely don't have a preference of even the most minuscule amount.
So if she chose to like put actual shit in her hair, I would be like, I love you all the same.
I would have a smell preference, but yeah.
You're so full of shit.
He would be like,
literally, you're full of shit right
That's an interesting choice. You are beautiful.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it being shit?
Yeah.
Could it be mud?
About how unhealthy that is.
Right, yes.
Maybe henna. There are other options.
There are other ways to make your hair look like that without using actual excrement.
Yeah. I do have to go back. I was teasing you. I love that you are an encouraging person. It has changed my life for the better.
Oh, thanks, Danae.
No, you're a very nice person. I'm not complaining about you. I just don't believe you.
Cheers to my best friend.
But I mean, I believe you believe that about yourself. I just don't believe you.
I think what it comes down to is this. We are all different and we all have different preferences, and there's nothing wrong with that. It comes from a very natural, normal place to have different, preferences, attractions, like different foods than other people like different appearances, different shapes of bodies than other people like, and I think it's important and valuable to explore why. Like, is that a cultural thing? Is that have been built by our upbringing? Has that been built by our Western or Eastern mindset? Like, the time we live in. Like, those are valuable explorations to kind of have internally ourselves, but it doesn't change the fact that we naturally have ways we're attracted, whether it be physically attracted or aesthetically attracted, which can be two different things, to other human beings. I just, for whatever reason, am the person that doesn't understand some of those distinctions. I don't know if it's something, again, about how I was raised or whatever I've been through, but I just don't, I have body shape attractions. I know I have like different, physical attractions to different kind of body shapes, and that doesn't make any one body shape different than another or less valuable than another body shape. It just means personally, from however I was raised, probably a lot culturally, a lot of the media that I consumed, I see certain things as beautiful shape-wise, but that doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't translate to hair for me, I guess. Like, it's just one of those things. So, yeah.
I do want to say one more thing too, and that is that I do have to put, and this is something that I've had to work on my whole life. When people comment on my appearance, whether it's clothing choices, hair choices, makeup choices, or things I can't really control, all of the above, including body shape, which people have commented on my body and my appearance my entire life. So it's something I've had to deal with my whole life. But I have had to develop a way to run a filter. So there's a filter that I run it through, which is, I think what they're intending to say is this, and that is what I am accepting. But for a long time, it struggled. It was like, if somebody would have said, oh yeah, you just don't look good, or, oh, I just don't like pixie cuts, it would be because I don't look good. So that took a long time. So I don't take it like that from Justin. I think it's just more like that's just not my preference. And if we could avoid that, great. Which, again, is fine, because I know it's from a filter of just preference. It's not him coming down on me at all. I think there is something true to what you're saying that we could all have a conversation about if people want to go into that deeper level. You know what I'm saying? Like if I could just sit down with Justin, and I've had this conversation with him in other ways too, be like, you're kind of coming off like an accidental asshole here. So let's talk about the accidental part of it. Let's talk about what you actually can like hear yourself saying. And that's in a lot of ways we do it with each other. We talk back and forth in our relationship. But when it comes to that particular one, I don't know if he can help having a preference on it. And if I was really adamant about it, he'd be like, sure, you can do whatever you want. It's just not a preference, So
some things are just you get used to too. Like my wife, I was saying something about getting LASIK, and which I don't really want to do. But my wife said she would think it was weird if I didn't have glasses. She said, like, even if you did that, I'd probably have to go get like just some like glasses that were just fake.
Right. Yeah.
Because she's just so used, which is fine. And I like my glasses too. Like I said, I've made that joke that I feel like people, at least I get the impression that I'm like 2% smarter than what they would think I am without them. And my goatee, I've thought about shaving it, and she's just always like, I don't know, that'd be a little weird. Because I've never not had a goatee. So
yeah.
Around her. So I get that.
It would be weird.
But she would be fine with either of those things.
Right.
It's just...
Right, that's the foundation, right? The foundation is appearance never changes value. Like there's nothing about when you look at somebody and have a preference reaction that changes the value of that human being. And we should speak out of that more than out of whatever that, weird human thing we've got going on is, right? So when we interact with people, we should, I believe, interact more out of the you're valuable, you're a human being, and just leave appearance out of it. What does that have to do with anything except our internal part, right? Because we don't know how that could impact somebody.
Not that there aren't dickish men out there that do this and control what their girlfriends or wives do and say, but most guys aren't like that. And I think most guys would never, make comments because that's kind of societally. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense.
I think you are seeing change in culture, and and there is, albeit slowly, that change is happening where people are starting to understand what their words are saying to people. But I think culturally the male dominant bias of controlling women and dressing them up for themselves, making them look a certain way. Hey, the waking up with, no makeup on your face. Oh, is this what I married joke? All that kind of stuff is built so deeply into our culture for a reason, because the patriarchy is real. It has been a thing. It is something that men have controlled women to look the way they want them to for a long time, because they see them as sexual objects, as things to desire ownership of, and to control in their lives. That is a very real thing. Are we seeing a shift in that? I believe we are. I believe there is a shift, but I think it's still very, very real. If not, again, like racism, if not on an overt level, on a very deeply ingrained bias level. And that is why I think we have to be so careful, especially as men, how we talk to women about their appearance, what they look like, those kind of things. Yeah. Hey, how about an outtakes that's all about one topic? How about that? That's fun.
I don't think that should be the case. I think that our outtake should include the fact that I'm also watching somebody on Twitch make waffles.
Fair. It's in the outtakes now. Great job, Danae. You put waffle making in there. Good job.
He has a waffle maker and he puts googly eyes on everything. So he has googly eyes on his waffle maker.
But do the googly eyes make those waffles more or less attractive? I think that is really the...
Wow.